followed my wife to her AP's place and found this on the couch. Later, I planned this. It's been a long time, my fellow Redditors. I can vividly remember that the last time I posted here was when I shared my college experience with you all. That has been many, many years ago. Well, this experience I'm about to share is very different from the last one. It's not a jolly experience at all. It's one of lies and deceit. The last time I posted here, I told you all about a girl I met in college, right? Well, we got married a few years after college. Now she's cheating on me. I just recently found out that my wife is cheating on me. For reference sake, I'm a 30-year-old man who's married to a 28-year-old woman. My wife's name is Sheila and my name is Fred. So, my dear Redditors, I know you all are wondering what suddenly went wrong, lol. I mean, I wonder what happened too. We got married after college and I honestly thought I married an innocent woman. Now I found out she's cheating on me. I don't know who the guy is or how she knows him. I'm very grateful that I found out early, or else I'd have been making a fool of myself. Can you believe how ironic this situation is? To think that we're planning to go to a family event in 2 weeks, and then I find out my wife is fucking another man. This event will have both our families and extended families in attendance. It's a yearly event that we have done over the years. I was even planning to get us new outfits, so we'd attend the event like the happy couple we were. But now I guess plans have changed. If you're wondering if my wife knows, no, she doesn't. She had no idea that I caught her cheating on me. She's been acting like her normal self, and I swear that if I didn't see it with my own 2 eyes, I'd have not noticed a single change in her. Before I go on, I'd like to use this medium to acknowledge how pretentious some women can be. I don't mean any disrespect to other women, but damn. My wife has shown me that she's a green snake in the green grass, literally. Her behavior is the same, nothing has changed. She's even telling me we need to get matching outfits this year so we can show off. How pathetic. She knows this event is a big deal because a lot of people will be in attendance. It's a 3-day event and we be there for 4 days. I have something planned to show my wife that I can be pretentious too, but I need to tell you all how I caught my wife cheating first. It was a Monday morning and we were getting ready for work. I usually drop her off at work and pick her up when she's done. That day was no different. The routine was still the same. After eating breakfast, I drove her to her workplace. At first, my wife and I spent minutes in the car talking about the upcoming family trip and other random stuff. I was getting late, so I kissed her goodbye before she left the car. My dear Redditors, have any of you ever been thankful for a flat tire before? Well, I was very thankful that I had a flat tire that day because it was the flat tire that saved me from thinking I had a real marriage. After my wife got out of the car, I turned on the car and drove off. Barely 2 minutes after leaving her workplace, my car stopped on the road. I'm thankful it didn't do more than that because when I got down, I discovered that I had a flat tire. I was getting late for work and had no time to call a mechanic, so I decided to go back to my wife's workplace on foot and tell her to help me get a mechanic during her lunch break, since the car was still closer to her workplace. My dear Redditors, when I got there, I saw my wife exiting her workplace. I was surprised because I did not expect her to be outside by that time. She even nagged me in the morning that she had to get to work fast. I wanted to call out to my wife at first, but I stopped when I saw her walking towards a car. It was definitely not my car because my car was parked minutes away. You have to imagine the level of shock I felt when I saw my wife getting into an unknown car with a smile on her face. It was a tinted car, so I could not see what was going on inside. I hid behind another car and waited till she was done. At that point, I did not care about getting late for work. I just wanted to know what my wife was up to at that moment. She spent minutes in the car before she finally got out. Everything looked fine at first, but I noticed something that was very weird. My wife had red lipstick on. I know that's not a big deal on a normal day, but in that situation, it was. I vividly remembered that my wife had black lipstick on that morning. I'm so sure about this because I kissed her goodbye in the car before she left, and I saw that she had black lipstick on. I'm her husband. I can't mistake her lipstick color. I knew what I saw in the morning was different from what I saw when she left that car. I watched her rush into her office before the car drove off. To be honest, I was very surprised to see what had transpired. It made no sense. Back then, a part of me was very suspicious, but I decided not to confront her yet. I know some of you might agree that a lipstick color is not enough evidence to accuse someone of cheating. But to be honest, I became extremely suspicious. I did not even call my wife and ask her to call a mechanic for me. I took a cab to work that day. I barely got any work done because I kept thinking about the incident that transpired. I did not just brush it off and call it a coincidence. Oh no, I made sure I got to the root of the matter. I went home that day and decided to spy on my wife the next day. I dropped her off at work as usual, but that day, I waited for her to come out secretly. I waited for so long that I began to doubt if she was even going to show up at all. That's to tell you just how long I had to wait. But, my dear Redditors, my wife came out after some time. I did not see the car I saw the day before, so I thought she just came out to buy something. But after some minutes, the car drove into the garage. My wife got into the car as usual. This time she came out with no lipstick at all. I was practically frustrated with the situation because I hate being left in the dark. There was no need for me to see her naked before I knew she had to be cheating on me. My instincts told me that my suspicions were right, but I did not work on my instincts. I decided to trap my wife during the weekend and see if she would fall for it. My fellow Redditors, I did something very funny. I told Sheila that I was needed at work urgently and would not be back till it was late in the evening. Sheila believed me and walked me out of the house. Of course, I lied to her. I was not needed at work that day. I went on foot, so my car was in the house. I waited outside our gate at a hidden spot to see if Sheila would come out and go anywhere. I practically waited for 2 hours and almost gave up. But Sheila did come outside. She did not just come outside, she drove outside. My wife drove my car outside and zoomed off before I could even understand what was going on. I had to call a taxi immediately to follow her. It was almost an impossible task because she was far ahead of us. But since it's my car, I was able to tell it apart from the numerous cars on the road. Sheila drove for a very long time. I was so worried because I did not expect her to drive for almost an hour straight. Well, I already suspected that she was cheating on me, so I was mostly worried about my car. Even before Sheila stopped the car at her desired location, I knew she had to be going to her lover's place. That was the only reasonable explanation I had in my head. Well, my fellow Redditors, I was not wrong at all, because Sheila did stop in front of an estate. It looked like an estate that had different people residing in it. The taxi I was in stopped far ahead, so she would not suspect a thing. After Sheila got into the gate, I got outside of the taxi and followed her in. Luckily, I saw her getting into a room on time. I marked the room number, then waited outside for a few minutes before going to the door. I planned to knock at first, but what I saw from the window was enough to make me halt my plans. It was just a tiny opening, but I was able to see Sheila's bra on the couch. Yes, I saw my wife's bra on the couch. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. The window was open, but no one was in the living room from what I could tell. It was my wife's bra that caught my attention. It's actually funny now that I think about it. The fact that my wife had the audacity to grab my own car keys and drive my car to her lover's house so he could sleep with her is just the highest level of crazy. I'm a man. I can't tell you. I was unaffected. I was angry, but first and foremost, I was disappointed. It's not something you see every day. You don't just follow your wife to an unknown estate only to find her bra lying on the couch. One thing about me is that I do not like taking reflexive actions. I don't like jumping into things without giving them a thought first. I could have just knocked on the door and stormed into the room calling Sheila a cheat. I could have gotten into a fight with the man, then caused a scene and cussed them out. But no, I didn't. It's not because I'm weak or too kind, lol. It's far from that. I chose to be silent so I could show Sheila just how ruthless I can be. If I'd caught her, she'd just apologize and cry, and then that's it. I don't want a simple resolution of things. I want her to feel the heat. I want her to cry. The fact that she took my own car and drove to her lover's house is not just disrespectful, but disgusting. What's more disgusting is the fact that a woman I've been married to for 3 years cheated on me. I don't care to know why she did it. Before I left the estate that day, I saw the same car I saw at Sheila's workplace. There was no need for any more verification. The truth was right there before my eyes. When I got home that day, I practically promised myself to show Sheila just how ruthless I can be. I was not going to let her off the hook for any reason at all, and I need her to know that. I needed to do something that would make her regret everything she did. I could cheat back, but no, that will not hurt as much. I'm not saying I do not plan to cheat. Oh no, I'm still going to cheat on her, but that will be after the family event. The perfect revenge plan I got together is to expose Sheila in front of our families. The whole extended family from both sides will be in attendance. Even their friends will come that day. So, Reddit, that's the plan I have in place. It's a plan that I've carefully thought about since I found out Sheila was cheating on me. The fact that Sheila has been asking me about the family event and how we're going to prepare just makes me angrier every day. My initial plan was just to cheat on her and teach her a few lessons that she'll never forget, but her consistent persistence to attend this family event in a grand style just unnerves me. I decided to give her the grand entry she desired so much by embarrassing her in front of everyone. That will be the best form of revenge for me. I also have another ulterior motive behind this. I want to get her family members on my side. So this is where I need your help, Reddit. I need ideas on how to go about this. I want ideas on how I can embarrass her in front of everyone. I already know the truth, but I'll need evidence to convince everyone else. I can't just come out and accuse her of cheating. I don't even plan on doing that at all because Sheila can just end up turning it around. At this point, I don't give 2 cents about our marriage and what happens to it after the event. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even have a wife. It's so stupid that a woman who is married feels it's okay to cheat. I don't even have the time to cheat. Does she think she's some kind of hotshot supermodel or what? I've had several opportunities to cheat without her even finding out, but I've been so focused on my work that cheating had not even been a topic in my thoughts. So, of course, it's surprising that a woman who is supposed to be working and figuring out how to make her marriage better is busy cheating on her husband. I think one thing Sheila doesn't understand is that it's always easier for men to get away with cheating. It's easier for men to move on after a divorce. I don't think she even understands the gravity of what she has done. I honestly can't care less because I'm already planning to start dating immediately after the family event is over. I don't care what the outcome is. I'm not staying faithful to an unfaithful woman. There is no way that's going to happen. For the people who'll most likely come into the comments section and tell me how 2 wrongs don't make a right, please save it. I really don't care about what is right at this point. All I care about is making sure I get revenge on Sheila in such a way that she'll be left flabbergasted. I mean it, literally. The problem now is how to get the perfect evidence together. That's a big deal for me. I don't know if it'll be possible to lead Sheila's lover to the family event. I mean, seeing is believing, and it will be the perfect way to bring out the truth. But the problem is that I don't even know what the guy looks like. I have not seen him before. I only recognize his car, and that's all. There's no way that I'll see him anywhere and even know it's him. If I'd seen his back or even his hair, it would have been a great lead, but I'm literally left with nothing. I need my fellow Redditors to drop their comments and tell me what they think I should do in this situation. That will be really helpful. I need as many ideas as possible because this has to be a perfect revenge plan. I can't even believe that many years after talking about my college experience, I'm here on Reddit again talking about a cheating experience. I honestly do wish I was the one who cheated. It will be less angering to be the one who cheated on your wife, LOL. I might even ask myself why I did not think about it first. But, whatever. It is what it is. She cheated on me first, so she should get what's coming for her. The family event she's so obsessed with will shock her in such a way that will leave her speechless. I'll make sure I leave no stone unturned. In case you are wondering what I plan to do, don't worry. You'll know in the next update because I'm not even sure of how to execute my plan yet. The family event is in 2 weeks' time, so you all should help me as fast as you can. I need to have a plan in mind as soon as possible so I'll be able to execute it on time. I'll make an update to this post after the family event is over so I can tell you all what happened in the full details. I'll try to reply to as many comments as possible, but I strongly doubt I'll be able to reply to all. Stay safe and see you next time, Reddit. I'm counting on you all to help me. Revenge is not easy at all. It takes dedication. Update. Hi Redditors, how have you all been? I'm back as promised, and this time, I'm here with all the details. It's been one heck of a full month. I know I promised you all that I'd give an update as soon as possible, but it's been 1 month now. And trust me, this is my definition of as soon as possible. I've been busy for the past few weeks. It's been a lot of work and a lot of commitment to settling the scores present. So let me take you all back to where we left off. I told you guys I needed ideas on how to embarrass my wife at the family event, and you all did not leave me hanging. I got some great ideas, and I was able to put them into action. The idea that came up mostly was to follow my wife to her lover's house one more time, then get a picture of them together. Trust me, I did not want to follow this idea for many reasons. I just found it too difficult and full of bumps. I did not think I'll be able to execute it, but that was literally the only plan that was safe enough to carry out, so I went with it. I could not go by myself because that will only make the task more difficult, so I sent someone to take pictures of them. I gave the person all the information they needed so they would be able to carry out the task. The results I got at first were just pictures of them leaving her workplace together and pictures of Sheila going into his room. I didn't really get pictures of them doing anything intimate. It took another 5 days before I got a picture of them kissing in the car. The car was tinted, and it was impossible to get a shot, but the person I sent got the picture when Sheila was about to leave the car. She opened the door to leave, but then the guy pulled her in for another kiss. Thankfully, he got the picture in time. To be honest, the guy I sent was almost caught by some of Sheila's colleagues. He had to lie that he was doing research in the company and that he was their assigned photographer. That almost got him arrested, but he was lucky to have finished the job on time. I had to pay the guy twice the money because of that fucking mishap. I spent a lot of money just getting the pictures alone. Imagine paying money for someone else's mistakes. The only thing that kept me from losing my shit back then was the fact that I had a plan in motion. I just kept encouraging myself to look at the end of the tunnel. In my case, the end of the tunnel was embarrassing for my wife. I just hoped they'd be light there. So, after getting the pictures and some of the recordings I needed together, I had my plan in motion. Sheila kept telling me how she could not wait for us to go to the family event. She told me how this year's event was going to be very different because many of her family friends were going to be in attendance. Anytime she came to the bedroom and told me how excited she was, I'd just laugh and tell her I couldn't wait too. It was very satisfying to know I was one step ahead of her. It was even more satisfying to know that she was looking forward to her own destruction. I know, that was an exaggeration, but trust me, I was very excited to see how the event would turn out. That event did not excite me as much as it excited me this year. So, let's get to the real deal. A few days after the family event, my wife got us matching outfits. I did not complain, and I even thanked her for it. The preparation for the event went on as it normally did. We got the gifts we usually bought for the family members. Sheila prepared some dishes in advance so we could eat it on the road. In other words, we were practically preparing for a swell time at the event. I'll still say this just for the sake of reference. Sheila did not suddenly stop cheating on me. I mean, she continued, and I know this because I kept an eye on her till we went on that trip. She left the house whenever she thought I went out, or when I was asleep. Sometimes I could hear her running from the living room to the bathroom to take a phone call. The worst evidence I'd noticed was when I saw a soaked panty of hers in the handbag she brought from work. The next one was a male boxer. Yes, I saw all these things even before we traveled for the event. With the way Sheila pretended like everything was fine, I'm very certain that she had no idea that I was aware of her cheating escapades. I did not also try to let her know that I knew anything about it. I continued acting like I was a fool. There was no need to let the cat out of the bag and raise the alarm unnecessarily. I knew that I had to be patient so I could give her a taste of her own medicine. It was not easy because sometimes I wanted to laugh in her face and tell her to stop hiding her phone under the sheets before she replied to text messages, because I already knew she was chatting with her lover. But I had to control myself. To be honest, I think my patience actually paid off at the end of the day because I was able to achieve the desired results I had in mind. So guys, let me cut the long story short and get to how I exposed my wife at our family event. The first day at the event was just normal. There was nothing out of the ordinary because I wanted the first day to be as normal as possible. Sheila and I settled into our hotel room and had a good night's sleep. The next day at the hotel was when I decided to put my plans in motion. Our family members were all present for the official first day of the get-together. Even our friends and some family friends were present. It was nice to see everyone together again after 1 year. I was mostly interested in seeing Sheila's parents because I knew just how traditional they are. They like to brag about their well-cultured and well-mannered daughter. I could not wait to show them just how mannerless their daughter was. The first part of the event was watching a movie together in one big hall. It's something that we have done for many years before. That would have been the perfect opportunity to expose Sheila, but I did not go with that idea. I did not want to ruin the family event on the very first day we started the event. My plan initially was to link the photos to the projector and have it shown to everyone present, but I decided to wait. The real drama could come later, so I decided to create a mini-drama. My dear Redditors, you all needed to see how pretentious Sheila had been with our family members. This woman acted like she was not the same person that was cheating on me. She joined other relatives to chat about marriage and relationships. The fakery was just too much for me, and there were many moments that I just wanted to expose her, right there and then. There were even instances where she would kiss me in front of her parents and hold hands with me. At first, I did not want to react, but as time went on, I would detach myself from her, snap at her in public, and even wipe her kisses away. I did it in such a way that even her own parents noticed. My parents called me aside to ask me if everything was fine, and I told them there was nothing wrong. I did not want to spoil the big surprise by making myself say things that will reveal the truth. But despite my efforts to make sure I don't reveal the truth before it's time, Sheila decided to mess with me. She had the audacity to FaceTime her lover while we were in our bedroom. That night, I pretended to be asleep while I heard Sheila's muffled voice under the bedsheet. I did not need any confirmation to know what had been going on. She was talking to her lover, and that was a fact I later discovered was true. I was so angry that I got up and grabbed her phone from her hands. That was when I saw him, the guy she was sleeping with. I did not recognize him as someone I knew, but he looked familiar. I knew that was a sign that she had been sleeping with him for a very long time. He ended the call immediately, but I did not let that stop me from doing what I had in mind. I grabbed Sheila's hands and dragged her out of the room. She kept wailing and pleading with me to listen to her, but I did not budge. I dragged her till we were in front of her parents' room, and then I pushed her till she was laying face down on the ground. I could not contain my anger, and I banged it on her parents' door. Yes, my dear Redditors, I made sure they knew something was going on outside. It did not take time before they came out of the room and demanded what was happening. They were even upset to see their daughter on the floor crying. My parents heard the noise too and left their rooms. We created such a scene that almost all the family members came out of their designated rooms to see what was going on. We were lucky to have booked our rooms at the other side of the hotel. Most people thought I'd laid my hands on her since they saw her crying, but I had to correct that narrative immediately. I told them how I caught Sheila FaceTiming her lover while I was in the room. I explained everything from beginning to the end, and I even went as far as showing them the pictures I had saved on my phone. That was not how I planned to reveal the truth, but I did not have the patience to wait till the next day anymore. I showed her parents and my parents first before the phone was passed around for anyone that cared to see what was going on. When I told you guys that we caused a scene, I meant it. We had pulled a crowd, but the only difference was that the people present were our own relatives. Her parents were practically speechless, and they could not say anything to defend their daughter. I thought they'd preach about how well-mannered she is, just like they usually did, but I guess there was enough evidence on ground to show that their daughter was nothing close to being well-mannered. My parents and relatives were disappointed after seeing the pictures, and some people even walked out. I was so angry that I recounted everything that had been going on for the past 2 weeks. I told them how Sheila had been sneaking out with my car. I know some of you might say you don't really like the way I went about it and how I exposed her publicly, but I do not care. Public humiliation was the perfect punishment for a woman that has no boundaries and self-respect. I did not humiliate her publicly because I needed support or validation. I did it because I knew that was the only way to truly get on her nerves and do something that she'd remember for a very long time. Sheila and her family have always been dedicated to their reputation and how people perceive them. I know this because her parents like to brag about every little thing. They claim to have perfect children with the best manners. I will not lie, that's one of the things that drew me to Sheila. I thought she was well-mannered and innocent. I know that's a wrong reason to look for a partner, but that was my reason. I just did not expect her to be the exact opposite of what I'd imagined. Well, I guess that was a medium for me to learn my lesson and not make the same mistakes twice. Sheila's parents were very disappointed and they literally walked out on us after screaming on top of their lungs. My parents told everyone to go back to bed and that we'd settle everything the next day. When my parents said settle, they meant ties were going to be broken. Literally. But at the end of the day, it was still my choice if I wanted to stay with Sheila and work on our marriage. My dear Redditors, what do you think my choice was? That same night, after everyone went back to their rooms, Sheila grabbed me by the collar and cussed me out. She screamed on top of her lungs and accused me of ruining her life for something so trivial. Yes, Reddit, my wife told me that all she did was cheated and that she did not deserve the kind of punishment that I gave to her. I thought she was joking at first. Yes, trust me, I thought it was a joke. But it wasn't. The stupid woman really stood in front of me and accused me of tarnishing her family's reputation. I don't understand how a woman who cheated and made the decisions by herself will accuse me of tarnishing her image. Lol, am I the one who cheated? I can still remember how I grabbed her shoulders in a very tight grip and tossed her to the nearby wall. You must be fucking mad. Are you so dumb that you think I'll fall for your stupid stunts? You think I regret embarrassing you just now? Those were the words I said to her. Sheila looked like she could kill me at that moment. I could see the anger in her eyes, but what made me really happy was the fact that she looked surprised. She did not expect me to have caught her cheating and even bring the evidence to her family. She asked me how I got the pictures and where I got them from, but I did not give her a reply. I tried walking away, but she grabbed a nearby vase and tried to throw it at me. If I did not look back in time, she would have trashed the vase on my back. I am not proud of it, and I have never been raised to hit a woman, but I slapped her that night. I do not support domestic violence, and I still regret slapping her till this day, but I could not stomach the fact that she tried to throw a vase at me. That case could have killed me right there and then. After slapping her, I warned her to stay away from me and told her that our marriage was over. That night, I locked her out of the room and slept off. I don't care how she slept that night or where she spent the night. I was so angry because I knew I could have gotten to the point of doing something I regretted. I got what I wanted by exposing her and tarnishing her image, and that's the most satisfying revenge ever. The next day, Sheila decided to cause another scene. She tried to jump on me when I went to use the restroom. She accused me of ruining her family once again. She said her parents and relatives were no longer speaking to her and that it was all my fault. My dear Redditors, you all needed to see how she whined and cried like a baby. To be sincere, I couldn't care less about her cheating anymore. What gave me more satisfaction was the fact that she was being isolated by her loved ones. I loved every bit of it. I did not bother myself with trying to fight her back because I knew what her game plan was. She wanted me to raise my hand and hit her again, but I did not fall for it. That very day, I left the family event and went back to my house. I packed her things and sent them back to her parents' house. They were not back home then, but I left it with their caretaker. I knew Sheila was not dumb enough to come back to the house for anything, and that was a bonus for me. I wanted to divorce her instantly, but I refused to do it immediately. I needed to cheat on her first, and so I did. I cheated on her days later and made sure she found out about it. I got many threatening messages from her and her new lover, but I blocked their numbers and moved on with my life. I don't plan on filing for a divorce yet because I'm not ready for the tedious paperwork. It's been barely 2 weeks since the incident, and I'm just living my life. Whenever I'm ready for the tedious paperwork, I'll send her the papers. My dear Redditors, I can't even believe that my wife had the audacity to accuse me of ruining her reputation after she cheated on me. It's disgusting and extremely narcissist. But guess what? I do not care. I got my revenge and I don't care what she thinks about it. Thank you to all the Redditors that have taken their time to engage with this post. It's been an amazing ride. I hope my next life experience will be better than this. LOL. See you all in the next post, whenever that may be. Hello, kind people of Reddit. Today you will hear the story of how my girlfriend tried to fool me but made a fool of herself only. I, male 30, was dating my girlfriend, a female 38, for around a year. I work as an accountant in a multinational company. My girlfriend used to work in a cafe. We met in her cafe only. Her cafe was near my workplace. I liked going to a local cafe to have my coffee, rather than going to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know why, but the coffee of a local cafe hits different. So yeah, I used to go to that cafe frequently. We knew each other's names since I was a regular there. I used to talk to her about how I liked my coffee brew and stuff. We were friendly with each other. I went to the cafe in the evening. I was reading my book when she came around and told me that she had to close down the cafe for the day. I was starting to get up to leave when I realized it had started to rain outside. The rain had started pouring completely out of nowhere, so I didn't even carry my umbrella. I was waiting outside the cafe on the pavement for the rain to end so I could walk back to my place. It was pouring so much that I couldn't even see anything. Soon, she came outside and started waiting with me on the pavement. She asked me about the book I was reading. It was Murakami. She said she reads his work as well and really likes it. For those of you who don't know Murakami and his work, let me tell you that it's really rare to find people who have read it and enjoyed it. Otherwise, people usually give you a look. Anyways, coming back to the story, we started talking about books and other things. We didn't realize how quickly the time passed and it had stopped raining. We talked for more than an hour, just standing on the pavement, and no one of us realized the time. We became friends from that day onwards. She would always give me a smile. I didn't realize, but I started to get eager to go to the cafe and see her again. It sort of became like a habit. I started to visit the cafe even on weekends just so I could see her. It was safe to say that I had developed a huge ass crush on this girl. I found her really pretty and really sweet. I just didn't know if she was single or with someone. I thought of clarifying that sooner rather than later. And so one day I waited for her on the pavement when she was closing down the cafe. She was surprised when she came outside and found me waiting. I told her that I thought of walking together till the train station. We started walking together towards the train station. She told me about the opening of the bookstore near her cafe. She told me she visited there and it seemed like the place that I would enjoy. I was touched that she even remembered me. I then asked her if she went with her boyfriend. She smiled and told me that she went alone. I was relieved to hear that. I asked her out on a date that night. She said yes, and that's how we started dating. I remember this weekend distinctively. It was a few months after we started dating. My girlfriend was staying at my place for the weekend. I remember that we were lounging on the couch in my dimly lit living room. We had gotten fresh popcorn since it was a Friday night. We had made it a habit to spend our Friday nights curled up together, watching random YouTube videos and sharing laughter at the absurdity of some content creators. I remember how my girlfriend got excited as she clicked on a video titled, "Hooker Wins 4K USD Prize." She laughed and told me to watch it with her. The video featured an attractive young woman recounting her story as a high-end escort. She had been hired for an exclusive party, and at the end of the night, she was awarded a cash prize of $4,000 for being the most sought-after companion. The woman's excitement and pride were evident as she displayed the wad of cash before the camera. She had a confident grin plastered across her face. I was shocked to know such things even exist. I had to go through so many numbers and files to make money, and this woman, that much amount in a single night. My girlfriend was equally shocked as well. She said she can't even calculate how many days it will take her in the cafe to make that amount of money. I don't know why, but a strange knot of fascination and unease formed in the pit of my stomach. "That's a lot of money," I said to her. My girlfriend nodded absently, her gaze locked on the woman in the video. "Yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely not something I'd ever do, but you can't deny the money is tempting." Her words got stuck in my head. I started thinking if financial allure was enough to persuade people to betray their morals. I wondered if my girlfriend can get tempted by this too. I quickly shunned the thought from my head when my girlfriend laughed slowly and suggested we watch something less controversial. I dismissed the growing thought in my head. It was completely irrational. My girlfriend had never given me any indication that she would do anything to betray me. If she didn't like watching something like this, how could she do something like this? I thought to myself. The next few days passed quite normally. I'd forgotten about that afternoon and that YouTube video. Since we started dating, I kept visiting my girlfriend in the cafe. Everyone in the cafe knew me on a first-name basis by then. But a few days after that weekend, when we watched the YouTube video, my girlfriend's behavior changed. Whenever I used to call her asking if I should come to the cafe and she was free, she would tell me that she was quite busy and to come another time. We both were quite busy with our work on the weekdays, but we had a pattern where she would spend the weekend with me at my place. She had spent almost all the weekends at my place since we started dating. She started telling me that she couldn't come with me as she had to work late for some other reason. I believed her because I had no reason to doubt her loyalty. We haven't been dating for longer, but she seemed like an honest person, and our relationship was also going quite well. We started meeting less and less. But I didn't doubt that anything was wrong because every time we would meet, she would meet with so much affection that it made me so happy to notice that something was wrong. I shared this with my best friend. He has been my friend since we were in college. I was a commerce student, and he was a computer science engineer. He worked at an IT department of a multinational company just like mine. He was also famous or infamous for his hacking skills. I shared with my friend how sometimes I felt that my girlfriend was avoiding me, but whenever she would meet me, she would be all hugs and kisses. He laughed at that and told me that it was common with all girls. He told me how his girlfriend would do the same thing. He said she would also act mean on texts and then got cute when they met. I laughed at that. I hoped that he was right, and it was just that. I didn't have much experience with relationships, so it was possible that I was making mole out of a hill, but I couldn't shake off the unease feeling that would come when my girlfriend told me that she wasn't free to hang out with me or can't spend the weekend with me. I called my girlfriend on a Friday afternoon. I wanted to ask her what time I should pick up from the cafe. Just as I called her, I hoped to God that she spends the weekend with me. I missed her. She picked up the call and told me that she has to run some errands and has plans with her friends from the cafe, so it's better if she stays at her place. I was really disappointed, but I hid it well and told her to enjoy the weekend. I then hung up the call. I was not sure that something was amiss. It wasn't like her to cancel plans for 2 consecutive weekends. As the time passed by, I knew that I couldn't ignore my suspicions any longer. The need to find answers had become unbearable, and I vowed that one way or another, I would unravel the mystery that changed my girlfriend's behavior. I decided that I will confront her and have a face-to-face conversation regarding the difference in her behavior. I called her on Monday and told her that I wanted to see her. I thought that she would give me some excuse again, but to my relief, she agreed to meet me. We decided to meet at a restaurant which was near both our workplaces. She told me that she would meet me there directly. I was waiting for her in the restaurant itself. When she came, she hugged me directly. She laughed. Her laugh sounded so contagious and genuine. It made me feel like everything was perfect. Once she settled down in the booth opposite me, I finally took her in. I haven't seen her properly for around 2 weeks. Every time I asked her, she would give me some reason. I didn't even know if it was genuine or just an excuse. She looked quite different that day. She was a barista, so it was obvious that she wasn't exactly rich. I'm not judging, just stating facts. To be honest, it was her simplicity that attracted me towards her in the beginning. But that day she was wearing jeans which looked like they were new and of a really good brand. She had a fancy bag with her. What caught my attention the most was the necklace she was wearing. I knew about that necklace when a friend showed me what his fiancée wanted for her birthday. I remembered that brand. It was Pandora, and I was sure it cost somewhere around $300 USD. She didn't used to have that kind of money to purchase things like that. I asked her how she got that necklace. She hesitated for a bit, but then told me that she wanted it for a long time, and when finally it was on sale, she used her savings and got it. I believed her. We ordered our meal. I began the conversation by asking how she was. She gave me a smile and told me that she was fine. We chit-chatted for a while. I asked her if there was any reason why she was ignoring me. At that time, I wasn't sure if I was overthinking or I actually saw guilt on her face for a second before she hid it. She came forward and held my hands. She told me that I was overthinking. I had told her that I had a habit of overthinking things. I didn't know if she was using my overthinking as an excuse to defend her actions, or was I actually overthinking? We talked for a while and everything seemed okay. There was nothing wrong about her behavior in person. She was still laughing, still smiling at me. I believed her that I was just overthinking and everything was okay between us. One thing about my girlfriend was that she used to usually hesitate when we would go out on dinner. She didn't like that I was spending so much money when we could have just had dinner at home. We even laughed about it. One time I told her that I don't think too much about money, and she replied sarcastically, "'Cause you have loads of it." We laughed then. I was just doing well. My job wasn't the highest paying job in the city, but it did well for me. I always picked the tab because it came naturally to me. My girlfriend never offered to pay, and I didn't want her to either. It had become a ritual sort of between us. However, that day when the waiter got our bill, she stopped me when I was getting my wallet and told me that it was on her. It was strange. In all the months we dated, this had never happened. I couldn't resist myself and asked her why she insisted on pay. She shrugged like this and said she thought for a change, she should pay as well. I told her she should spend her money wisely. She seemed offended by that for a second, but then quickly recovered and nodded. She told me that I should head back to my office as it was already past lunchtime and she would go to the cafe alone. I didn't like the idea. I told her that it's fine that the break is over. I could still drop her to the cafe, but she was adamant and told me to go to the office straight away. I hugged her and told her that I would like to see more of her. She nodded with a smile and we both went our way. Everything was going fine then. We would text each other throughout the day and she would go to sleep early at night. That's what she told me. I would spend the nights working or scrolling through YouTube since I had nothing better to do, and I had a habit of sleeping late. One night when I was scrolling through YouTube on my television, the channel with the hooker video started playing. It must have come in my recommendation because we watched it that day. I was already bored, so I thought, why not watch it only? They were having that party again. There was a guy with a mic who was introducing all the hookers in that party. He had announced that the winner would get $6,000 prize that night. They had increased the amount, I thought, and laughed. My laughter died immediately when the guy introduced one hooker to the camera. She was completely in makeup and a very tight dress. She was actually dressed as a hooker. I couldn't have recognized her if I hadn't spent so much time with her. On the television screen was my girlfriend, the same girlfriend who told me on our first date that she hated makeup and revealing clothes, the same thing she was wearing right now. I rubbed my eyes to make sure I wasn't seeing someone else, but I was sure as fuck that it was my girlfriend. She told her name to the guy in a sultry voice. That wasn't her real voice, but it was still hers. She didn't even tell her real name. I was actually confused then. I thought maybe it's someone else who was identical to my girlfriend. I had to do something to figure it out. I started pacing in my living room as the show continued on and kept showing all the hookers. I thought that I'll just call my girlfriend and talk to her. It will wake her up, but I needed to find out if the girl on the TV was my girlfriend or not. I dialed her number, but she didn't pick up. I kept calling her again and again, desperate to hear her voice. I then decided to go to her home to check on her. We both had a key to each other's house for emergency purposes. I thought that I'll just go and see her sleeping on the bed and then come back. As I drove to her home, I kept praying in my head that I found her in her home. I didn't even want to imagine what I was going to do if I didn't find her in her bed. With a heavy heart, I reached her apartment and unlocked the door. The apartment had all the lights off. I tried to calm myself, thinking maybe she's just sleeping and that's why, and switched off all the electricity. I went to her bedroom and opened the door. I switched on the lights and the bed was empty. The room seemed to shrink around me. I felt like the air was thick with tension and deceit. My heart was pounded in my chest, a relentless thud echoing through my body. I stared at the empty bed in her bedroom, my mind racing with questions and accusations. My suspicion had come true and my heart broke. The girl who promised me that she will never break my heart had done exactly just that. I felt so broken and so lonely in that moment that I had never felt. I got out of her apartment and got in my car and drove back home. I laid down in my bed as I started thinking about the whole situation. My girlfriend was a hooker. That much was clear, but there were still so many questions in my head. My palms were slick with sweat as I clenched them into fists, nails digging into my skin. The pain was a welcome distraction, grounding me as I grappled with the devastating revelation. How long had she been hiding this from me? Was our entire relationship built on a foundation of lies? I came back home and started pacing in the living room. I couldn't understand what was going on. There were so many questions, but I had no one who could give me my answers. How long has she been a hooker? I kept thinking. I felt nauseated as I thought if she had always been a hooker. I started thinking of all the signs in the beginning of our relationship. There must have been something off about her if she was a hooker, and how could I have missed it? I kept thinking, but nothing came to my mind. When I had started dating her, she was a simple girl who worked in a local cafe and enjoyed reading Murakami. Who was this girl on TV? As my mind got filled with all these thoughts, I started having a headache and then went to take a painkiller. I woke up the next morning on my couch. I didn't even remember falling asleep here. The medicine worked and I must have fallen asleep, I thought to myself as I checked my phone. My girlfriend texted me in the morning. I read her text. "Sorry, I was asleep when you called. Call me when you wake up." This was the text she had left me. I knew she was lying. Only thing which angered me more was that I was falling for her lies since God knows when. At this point, I was convinced that our entire relationship was nothing but just a sham. I switched on the television. I played the same YouTube channel that I did last night. The latest video was aired sometime around 3 a.m. My girlfriend was the winner at that party and she had won $6,000. I had felt enough hurt now. I couldn't behave like a heartbroken teenager anymore. My girlfriend had thought that she was the player here, and she could play me, and I would not bat an eye on her. I never doubted her because I trusted her. Now that the trust is gone and I knew her reality, nothing was stopping from making her pay. I decided to show her that she cannot escape the result of the damage done by her. I started thinking how I was going to make her pay. It didn't take much time to figure it out. She did all this for money, so now I was going to take that away from her. Even though I knew her truth, I still decided that before taking any action, I had to get sure about what she was doing behind my back. I was just thinking about all this when I got a call from her. She told me how she missed my calls because her phone was on silent and she was asleep. I told her it was fine. I didn't tell her anything about the previous night and acted normal. I confronted her earlier because I trusted her. I believed her to tell me the truth. Now I know she was betraying me and I had no intention of telling her anything. She told me she was leaving for work and I wished her a good day. I ended the call after that and got ready. I didn't go to work that day and instead went to her apartment. I knew that she had already left the apartment and was in the cafe. I entered her apartment and went to her bedroom. I wanted some evidence to confirm what I already knew. There was nothing in there except bags of quite designer brands. She had definitely gone shopping with her new money. My eyes then fell on her laptop. It was placed on her dressing table. I opened it. It already had an open browser. I found what I was looking for in her laptop. The browser had a hooker's website open. The account was already logged in. You must have guessed it by now. It had the profile of my girlfriend, just with a different name. The pictures were her, the email address, the PayPal details, everything belonged to her. I saw her chat threads with various men. She was charging $150 for one meeting, and all these men were paying that. I felt like throwing up. The woman who I thought was the love of my life was actually leading a double life, and I had no freaking idea. I tried to find out how long it has been going on. The website finally showed that her profile was only made around a month ago. I opened the calendar on my phone and checked that date. I was not very surprised when I saw that her account was created on a Friday. It was the same Friday we watched that damn YouTube video. Everything started making sense. I remember that day. My intuition was right. My girlfriend can and has betrayed her morals for money. I was now sure that I wanted to execute my plan and take revenge from her. She betrayed my love and trust for money. If only she had asked, I would have given her everything I owned. I then went to another cafe to grab some coffee. I called up my best friend, who used to be a hacker. I told him to meet me at that cafe. By the time I settled down after ordering my coffee, my friend had arrived too. I told him that I had already ordered coffee for us and asked him to sit with me. We settled down and I told him everything from the starting till the end about my relationship and what I found the previous day and that morning at my girlfriend's apartment. He was shocked when I got to the part of the previous night and that morning. "What a bitch," was his first response. I had called her that quite a few times in my head already, so I didn't stop him. Before any of you give me a lecture about disrespecting a woman, please know she was living a double life. I had no respect left for her. He then asked me what I was going to do about it. I told him that I don't want to let her go so easily. He nodded to that. I knew he would understand, and that was the reason I had only called him and no one of my other friends. I told him my plan. He was surprised and shocked when he listened to it, but I didn't need to convince him to agree to any shit. He was already in it. I told him that I wanted to strip her off everything. I wanted all her money gone, and I wanted her on the streets since she enjoyed being there a lot. He asked me how I was going to do it. I told him that he had to take out all the money from his PayPal account by using his hacking skills. I told him that I was going to make her homeless. He told me that I was taking a big step and asked me if I was ready for it. I told him I was ready for it and to get it done as soon as possible. He asked me for her email ID and I gave it to him. He left the cafe and I went to execute another part of my plan. I went to her cafe and found her behind the corner. She gave me a smile when she saw me. Her face was glowing. It wasn't the glow from love. It was the glow from her bank balance. I smiled, thinking how I was going to take that away from her. I hugged her as she came to me. I told her that I missed her. She said she missed me too. I asked her if she had some time to sit with me. She nodded and we settled on the corner of the cafe. We talked for a bit. She finally told me that her lease of her apartment was ending soon. I took that as my opportunity and told her she could move in with me. She seemed shocked and surprised that I had suggested that. She asked me if I was ready for that sort of commitment. I told her why not. She made a face like she was calculating something in her head. Probably how much money she would save on rent if we moved in together. She agreed and told me that she was really happy to start this chapter of life with me. I told her I was happy as well. She called her landlord and told him that she won't be renewing her lease as she was moving in with me. I gave her a fake smile and then left for the office. She called me around the evening telling me that she needed my help to pack her stuff and to shift everything to our home. I told her I'll be there to help her through everything. I had almost called her out then and there on the call, but I wanted to see her reaction when I told her that her game was over. I kept my calm and went to her place to help her pack everything. She asked me if I was excited. She was grinning from ear to ear. She told me that she can't wait to live with me. I lied through my teeth and told her that living together was going to be amazing. We were done in a few hours and then went to our place. Everything fitted in my truck, so we didn't need to call anyone for help. We just made our way home while she gave me her sweet smile throughout the drive. One night had changed things so much. Earlier, I used to love her smiles, but after I knew everything, I felt like throwing up when she smiled at me like that. We placed all the boxes in the living room. Just as I was done with that, my friend's message came. He told me that he would need some more time to transfer the money. Fuck. I didn't want to play this pretend game any longer, but I had to. I kept listening to her as she told me her plans on how she was going to make changes to the interior of my place. I almost laughed because she had no idea that I wasn't going to let her spend a single night here. The thought of her devastation brings a sick satisfaction to my gut, like a twisted knot of pleasure. She has no idea what she's in for. Finally, I got the message from my friend that it was all done. He told me to text him again when I was ready and everything will be gone in a second. I left a sigh of relief. I continued the act for a bit longer. I told her that I was too tired from packing and moving all the stuff in, and that we should take a break and watch YouTube for some time. She agreed. She was scrolling through social media on my tab when I clicked on the video in which I saw her the other night. She didn't pay attention to it in the beginning, but when the mic guy started introducing the hookers, her eyes went up. She still didn't realize what was happening and tried to change the channel so I didn't see her. I kept the remote out of her reach and told her that the best part was coming. She got shocked just as her part came on the television. She started crying then. I laughed and told her it was too late to shed those. It didn't affect me at all. She started crying even more then and told me that she can explain. Save it, I snapped at her. I've seen the messages on your laptop, the filthy things you've been doing for money. She still begged to let her explain. Although I knew that nothing she could say could justify what she had done, I still told her to speak. Maybe because I knew I wanted the actual reason behind it as well. She started speaking. I already knew what she was telling me, but I let her speak. She started speaking between her sobs and told me how it started after she had seen that video on YouTube that day. She told me that she saw that they were giving the prize of $6,000 and she wanted the money. She had to become a hooker first to go to win that prize. That's why she had created that account and started all this. She kept crying and told me that she had decided to end things after she had won that prize. She told me that she never meant to hurt me like this. It just had gone out of control when she realized that she could make so much money with this. It started out as a stupid way to make money. I thought it was harmless, but then the greed took over, and I couldn't stop, were her exact words. I scoffed at her. I told her it didn't matter if she meant to hurt me or Jot. The damage she had done couldn't be erased. I was done with her. I told her that since she won the prize, I had a congratulatory gift for her. She looked at me with confusion on her face. I texted my friend and her phone started getting notifications after a second. She looked like she was going to faint as she saw the money being debited from her account. It didn't stop until it reached $0. The remorse and shock on her face satisfied me a lot. She asked me if I had hacked her account. I just shrugged and chose not to answer. She then got angry and told me that I cannot do it and she'll file a complaint to the police. This made me laugh really bad. I asked her if she was going to tell the police how she had so much money in her account when she was a barista. I also reminded her that all the sites she used were illegal in our country, and also the prize money for which she betrayed me. When she finally realized that she couldn't do anything about it, she started crying again, begging me for forgiveness, telling me that we can figure out anything as long as we are together. She told me she just needed one chance to show me how guilty she was. I told her that I couldn't care less about her or her sorry. I told her to get out of my property as soon as possible. I took her boxes and kept them outside as she kept trying to stop me and forgive her a chance. She told me that she has nowhere to go and no money either. I told her that she should have thought about it before betraying me like that. I also told her that the sites she was using to get customers were banned as someone informed the authorities about them. We both knew who informed the authority about them. She kept crying and wasn't leaving when I finally told her to get out and that she wasn't welcome here. She left the apartment crying. Usually I would have felt bad if I made someone cry like that, but that day all I could feel was absolute satisfaction. She deserved this. Even though I got played, I made sure that she couldn't trap someone else like me. I settled on the couch with my beer and called my friend to thank him for everything. I told him to anonymously donate the money to some charity. I didn't want my hands on that filthy money. It was good that it could help out someone in need. It has been more than 2 months since that day. I have stopped going to the cafe she used to work in. I don't even cross paths with her. I'm happy in my life without someone deceiving me every day. Sometimes my mind randomly starts to think about her and what I did with her. It's weird, but every time I think about her, I get a weird sense of satisfaction and revenge. I had taken my revenge and put an end to her deceit, but I still feel maybe I went too far. I discussed this with my friend and told her the same thing. I asked him if I did the right thing. I told him that we know that she lied to me and she betrayed me, but what I did was that the right thing. He told me something that makes a lot of sense. He told me that sometimes we gotta fight fire with fire. He was right about that. That bitch deserved it. Words of my friend, not mine. Even though I had taken my revenge and made her suffer for her actions had made it hard for me to trust someone again like that. In our short span of relationship, I had grown very attached to her, and then she went and broke my trust like that. This made me realize that anyone can break your trust at any point. I'm trying to finally trust people again because it isn't fair that I stop trusting people who have done no wrong to me. I'm moving past that tragic relationship and all the pain it has caused me. I hope that my noon gets played like my ex played me. Anyways, if you came this far, thank you for listening to my story.